Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Stuart Alderoty asked, will the U.S. banks want to use XRP now that we have a decision in the case? And how about an appeal? SEC versus Ripple. We got Jeremy Hogan and others. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, the cryptocurrency market cap is $1.25 trillion, and the market is off by 0.5%. Good morning, everybody. Bitcoin now 30,200 plus, Ethereum 1916 and change. We see Tether market cap at 83.6 billion plus. That may be an all-time high, if not close to it. XRP, as you can see right now, strong like bull. It is 74 cents, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Let's get started right here. Look, if you haven't done it, this is linked to where you can get the best private equity of the best companies, of the best innovation, no matter what it is. Whether we're talking about fintech, digital assets, artificial intelligence, or anything else, this is the place to get it. Don't mess around. And look, Ripple, how much longer is it there? Look, let me tell you something. Glint just came on the scene. Glint, you know, is a way to get gold without having to hold the physical gold, but it's physically yours. It's stored in a Brinks vault, and it has Lloyd of London insured. I tell you, this is a remarkable product, and I want to tell you something else about it too. They just announced with the victory, as we celebrate the XRP victory here at Glint, we can start working on the crypto bridge. Imagine a seamless bridge between XRP and gold with Glint Pay. Freedom, Ripple, XRP, gold is security, Glint is key, no doubt about it. That is coming. Who's excited? This guy is. All right, first let's take this on here because we've heard a lot of talk about the possibility of an appeal, and would it be Ripple appealing or the SEC, or would they both appeal? Well, let's start right here first. This is Katie Hahn. Appeal of recent XRP court decision seems unlikely. XRP is not a security. Let's get into this very quickly here. Okay, let's take a look at it. I'm going to go through this, but we have to read these, so stay with me. I don't normally read all of them for you. I always go through and read these and then give you the synopsis, right? But I'm going to have to read this. So Katie Hahn, from a former Department of Justice prosecutor and crypto venture investor, basically says here, she weighed in on the court decision, Ripple's 3-year-long legal battle. Get this off again. And she said in a tweet, Hahn said that the court's decision, which found that sales of XRP across public exchanges have not constituted the sale of unregistered securities, was a good outcome for the industry. The consensus is that the court drew a reasonable line distinguishing between XRP itself, not an investment contract, thus not a security, and certain XRP transactions in which institutional investors paid money to Ripple directly, and Ripple made contractual commitments in exchange, creating an investment contract under Howey. Let's pause right here. Hey, remember all the trolls that told me that pre-allocation wasn't real? Remember the donkey that made a 53-minute video about me saying that it was all conspiracy theory? Well, it isn't. And I knew it wasn't, and it's been confirmed for years. But now it's absolutely confirmed that they had pre-allocated option contracts because they just lost that part of the case. Dumbasses, right? This is where you know you have something no matter whether the world's beating you up or not. You don't have to change your mind if you know what the truth is. And we've all on this channel known what the truth is. And we've been taking a lot of heat because we actually held on to the truth. And kudos to all of you. No doubt about it. Hahn previously worked with Chris Dixon. I have to wonder what their involvement and how deeply they were involved in ETHgate, maybe. You know, one has to wonder. An investigation should be done to know. However, she launched Hahn Ventures, which reportedly raised more than $1 billion in assets in 2022. Hahn said that an appeal from Annalisa Torres, the judge decision is possible, but added that an immediate appeal seems unlikely, both because the agency would have to ask the court to split the decision from the portion going to trial, and because I'm skeptical the SEC actually wants legal clarity. To be clear, Ripple's battle with the SEC is far from over. Furthermore, Judge Torres also ruled that Ripple violated securities law when it offloaded XRP to sophisticated institutional investors. Still, a number of market participants noted the development could bode well for other crypto firms in their ongoing legal proceedings, with the investment banking giant JP Morgan noting it could benefit Coinbase. The ruling appears on its surface to be a win for Coinbase in its recent lawsuit by the SEC. JP Morgan equity analyst Kenneth Worthington wrote in the report on Friday, "We see Coinbase in the best position to benefit from the improved confidence and regulatory clarity, given Coinbase's market-leading position and reputation in the industry." Now, let's get to Jeremy Hogan's thoughts here on this, and you're going to want them. He says, after the final judgment is entered, either party has 60 days to appeal. We don't have a final judgment yet, so an appeal of Judge Torres' order would be an interlocutory appeal. As far as I can see in the rules, you have 10 days to notice an interlocutory appeal. And this is him saying in the beginning of it, I see a lot of questions about SEC Ripple appeal. He says, here's my thoughts. I hate appeals because that means I lost, but I've done a few. First timing, most appeals happen after case is completely finished, which Ripple case isn't. So coming past this, it says an interlocutory appeal is rarely granted. When it is, the normal situation would be where allowing discovery would let a cat out of the bag. When the Hinman emails were ordered published, as an example, that was the type of thing an interlocutory appeal might be granted for. He goes on to say, if Judge Torres herself thought her ruling was so controversial or out there that it needed immediate review, she could have certified it for review to the appellate court. She didn't do that, which is another indicator such an appeal might not be granted. So, interlocutory appeal is not automatically granted and not often granted. You don't have a right to them, but you do have the right to a regular appeal, which would take place here after the trial and post-trial motions next year after a final judgment is entered. So, will either party appeal, and why or why not? Most attorneys I've seen think the SEC will appeal. If I had to guess, which is already what we're doing really, I would bet neither side appeals. First, appeals are difficult to win, as it's Judge Torres who reviewed the whole record. Second, the SEC has more to lose than gaining by appealing. If it wins the appeal, it pulls back some adverse trial level case, but if it loses at appellate level, now every court in the Second Circuit District Court of Appeals must follow the decision. They could literally turn a molehill into a mountain. Ripple probably won't appeal if it can pay the fine, and if the ODL part of the ruling doesn't mess up its business, which factors all points towards no appeal for me. Plus, Ripple won, and only losers appeal. Sorry, couldn't hold that back. Laugh out loud. Finally, the SEC might have a problem getting at the secondary market sales part of the argument on appeal, which is really the problematic part for it, because of how the judge couched her ruling, but I haven't solidified my thinking on that, so I will stop here. Sorry so long. We always appreciate all of the legal analysts and you, Jeremy, for sharing your thoughts. Now, let's take a look at this really quickly here. Just as a reminder, in 3 days, we know we have FedNow coming live, right? I'm not suggesting they're going to use XRP, but there are an enormous amount of Ripple partners on FedNow and Ripple as well. So for those who don't already know, the Federal Reserve joined the U.S. Faster Payments Council as a founding sponsor. The founder of the U.S. Faster Payments Council is the head of product at Amazon Payments and is a member of FedNow Community Group. And don't forget, they just hired Warren Jansen to be the CFO at Ripple, who came from Amazon. Sounds like a transition team to me. The only crypto company representing the U.S. Faster Payments Council is Ripple. Craig DeWitt was their vice chair before leaving. Now the two Ripple executives hold leadership roles within the working group as Pat Thielen and James Selleck. The clearinghouse is also a member of the U.S. Master Payments Council. But now let's get to this, talking about the effect of the decision on the case. Knowing that the early sales to institutions are actually deemed unregistered securities, and understanding that that ruling, whether you thought so before or you thought so after, absolutely confirms pre-allocated option contracts of XRP. Hello, all on the same page, including the U.S. Second Circuit Court, ladies and gentlemen. Ripple says U.S. banks will want to use XRP after partial SEC decision and partial win. Well, we're going to have to get into this because this is the one and only Stuart Alderoty they're talking to in here. And guess what? Shout out to Anthony Welfare for sharing this here. So let's get into this very quickly here. Blockchain startup Ripple is confident that banks and other U.S. financial institutions in the country will start showing an interest in adopting XRP in cross-border payments after a landmark ruling determined the token was not in itself necessarily a security. I could read it a million times, and it said it was not a security, not necessarily. We've been over it. The San Francisco-based firm expects to start talks with American financial firms about using its on-demand liquidity product, which uses XRP for money transfers in the third quarter, Stu Alderoty, Ripple's general counsel, said in an interview. Last week, New York judge delivered the watershed ruling for Ripple, determining that XRP, a cryptocurrency Ripple is closely associated with itself as not a security, and we know it's not a security. Ripple's been fighting that for over 2.5 years, almost 3 years. It goes on to say here, Ripple's business suffered as a result, with the company losing at least one customer and investor, MoneyGram, as we know, which was approved that deal by the SEC as well before being sued. Meanwhile, Tetragon, UK-based investor previously backed by Ripple, sold its stake to Ripple because they have no backbone and they didn't believe in them. And they said they will sell it back. And then Ripple took the opportunity to reprice the valuation of the company by buying it back at a higher level. Asked whether the ruling meant an American banks would return to Ripple and use its ODL, and Stuart Alderoty says, I think the answer to that is yes. Ripple is also uses blockchain in its business to send messages between banks, kind of like a blockchain-based alternative to SWIFT. I think we're hopeful that this decision would give financial institutions and customers or potential customers comfort to at least come in and start having the conversation about what problems they are experiencing in their business, real-world problems in terms of moving value across borders without incurring obscene fees. Hopefully this quarter will generate a lot of conversations in the United States with customers, and hopefully some of those conversations will actually turn into real business. Ripple now sources most of its business from outside the U.S., with Alderoty previously telling CNBC its customers, its revenue are all driven outside of the U.S., even though we still have a lot of employees inside of the U.S. Ripple has over 900 employees globally, with roughly half of them based in the U.S. XRP is a cryptocurrency that we all know what XRP is here. We don't need to read the rest of that. We know it works as a bridge. I thought there was another comment in here. Ripple says Ripple's business stands as would be unaffected by the component of the ruling, as its customers are primarily located outside of the U.S. We'll study the judge's decision. We'll look at our clients' needs to locate the market and see if there's a situation here that complies with four corners of what the judge found when it comes to institutions. How about that? And listen, here's a question here that needs to be answered, because if Ripple says U.S. banks will want to use XRP cryptocurrency after the partial victory here, well, listen, that's great. But how are they going to do that? Because they can't sell directly to institutions. So how do they do that? Do they kick in the line of credit and the leasing XRP, so you're not technically buying it from Ripple? You're just leasing the asset? It's going to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And as Chine Steingreiber says right here, and as Bob Way has told us as well years ago, once two central banks achieve atomic settlement, it's game over. And that's absolutely right. And very quickly here, speaking of game over, can we get to a $27, $30 XRP? Are we asking for the sun and the moon, or are we just asking for something? I don't know what it is. But look, if we look right here, back on May 1st, 2023, you shared detailed insights into XRP's potential behavior, and now it's absolutely incredible to see those predictions coming true here. If you just come down to what he's showing on the chart here, he's saying basically the blue ocean ahead that you can see here is all even more possible and in reach now. Now, a lot of people believe that it's between $5 and $10 before we see that 27. There ain't going to be a hard straight shot. It usually isn't. And if we just go back to the stuff like the fractals of history's past that everybody uses so often, you can see, look, how it went up, it pulled back, it went up, it pulled back, it went all the way up, pulled way back, went up, and then pulled way back. Like, there's a lot of give and take on its way there. And I think that's the thing we have to remember. And that's why it's so important, and we have conversations on this channel often about when are you going to have your exit strategy. Is it going to be at $5, $10, $27, $2,000? Who knows? But you yourself as an individual need to have a plan. I can't tell you what the plan is because I don't know what's right for your life. I do know, as I've stated here multiple times, between 10 and $30 is a real sweet spot for me and Mrs. Backup. We just have to gauge the market at the time. How quickly is it moving? What is the fundamental news that's helping move that market? And then I can make a more informed decision. If I take it $10, it's because I believe that it's going to take a much longer period of time to get to 27 or $30, right? So I may choose to take some profits on the lower side. But if I feel like the market's moving quickly, I may say, you know what? Maybe I hold back and let this thing run a little further and run the risk of getting left, without reaching the target that I'm looking for. So it's all about strategy, ladies and gentlemen. And ultimately, when it comes to strategy, I'm hoping to not have to sell my long-term holdings of XRP, and that I could hold it forever and earn a yield, a reward on it. And that would be absolutely holy grail for me right there. That's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me already. What else? But we got a lot to talk about the fallout and the ruling of this case. It's not over by a long shot. I'll catch all of you on the next one.